Have you ever seen a moment so small, so unexpected, yet so powerful that it turns everything upside down? That's exactly what unfolded when Meghan Markle walked onto that stage, uninvited, unwanted, and completely out of place. Picture it. Harry was in the middle of his big speech, microphone in hand, owning the stage, when suddenly Meghan appeared behind him like a storm cloud rolling in. She tapped him on the back, forcing him to acknowledge her. For just a split second, the cameras caught Harry's startled glance. It wasn't the look of a man proud to see his wife by his side. It was the look of a man blindsided, almost as if he'd forgotten she was even there. And then came the moment that shook everything. Harry didn't hand her the microphone. He held on tight, his knuckles firm, refusing to let go. Now you might think, big deal, a husband not sharing the mic, but that's where you're wrong. In the past, Harry would have tripped over himself to pass it to Meghan. He once begged an announcer to give her the mic, only to be laughed at. But this time was different. Harry chose himself. And just like that, the power dynamic shifted. The reaction in the room was deafening, not with applause, but with silence. Meghan stood awkwardly beside him, waiting, expecting the crowd to cheer her presence. But the applause never came. The crowd didn't play along. She had barged in on his moment, and instead of adoration, she was met with cold indifference. When the silence became unbearable, Meghan stormed off the stage. But here's the kicker. When you turned on the TV the next morning, you wouldn't have known any of this happened. The glossy magazine covers and the mainstream outlets plastered photos of Meghan smiling, cropped perfectly to make it look like a picture-perfect couple, hand in hand, united and strong. But they didn't show the video. They didn't show Meghan's intrusion, her humiliation, her walk of shame. The footage exists, but the press refused to release it. And you've got to ask yourself why? Why hide the truth? Why protect Meghan at all costs? Because if the public saw what really happened, there would be no denying it. The cracks in Harry and Meghan's marriage are no longer whispers, they're on full display. But this wasn't just about a microphone. Oh no, it runs so much deeper. Behind the curtain, a bigger war is unfolding. Harry's place in the royal family is a confusing mess. Officially, he's no longer a working royal. He's been stripped of his military titles. On paper, he's just another celebrity. But then you see him in Ukraine attending government events, and suddenly he's being addressed as His Royal Highness. That doesn't just happen. Protocol is strict. If they called him HRH, it means someone at Buckingham Palace approved it. So while headlines scream Harry is out, the palace's actions quietly tell another story. And then comes the strangest detail of all. Reports that Harry will make a public appearance with King Charles, wait for it, in 6 years. 6 years, a timeline so oddly specific it raises more questions than it answers. Is the palace dangling Harry and Meghan like bait, keeping them relevant, marketable, financially afloat by hinting at a reunion that may never come? The confusion isn't a mistake, it's deliberate. One day, the press claims Harry is half in, half out. The next day, they swear he's permanently cut off. The stories flip and twist so often that nobody knows what's true anymore. And in that fog, Meghan plays her role to perfection. She's the woman who walks on stage when she's not invited. The woman who smiles for the cameras while being shunned in real life. The woman who survives because the media insists on only showing the flattering angles. But Harry's truth is harder to hide. Holding on to that microphone wasn't just about a speech, it was about control. For the first time, Harry didn't hand Meghan the spotlight. For the first time, he stood on stage without her voice overpowering his. And that single, quiet decision may be the clearest sign yet that their carefully crafted fairy tale is beginning to fracture. And here's the detail that makes it sting even more. When Meghan stormed off, Harry didn't follow. He didn't run after her. He didn't smooth over her ego. He stayed put, microphone in hand, owning his moment. That silence spoke louder than any words could. For Meghan, used to being the center of attention, this wasn't just humiliating, it was betrayal. And once the cameras turned off, the real fireworks began. The stage lights may have dimmed, but behind closed doors, the fallout was explosive. Sources whisper that Harry was furious. Not just annoyed, not just irritated, furious. Furious that Meghan had barged into his moment. Furious that she had tried, yet again, to snatch the spotlight from him. And Meghan? She was equally enraged, not because the audience ignored her, but because Harry himself did. To her, Harry had committed the ultimate betrayal. He had denied her the microphone. Now let's be clear, for Meghan, that microphone isn't just a tool, it's power, it's validation. It's her ticket to being seen, being heard, being adored. When Harry gripped it tightly, refusing to let it go, it wasn't just a husband's hand holding a piece of metal. It was a declaration. It was Harry saying, "This is my voice, my stage, my moment, not yours." That silence wasn't an accident, it was strategy. And the palace knows it. Actions speak louder than words, and this action spoke volumes. Meanwhile, Meghan's smile that night, oh, people noticed. It stretched wide across her face like a carefully painted mask, but it never reached her eyes. Witnesses said her eyes burned, dark with rage, as the crowd refused to acknowledge her. She walked off that stage not as a glowing duchess, but as a woman humiliated, rejected, and, let's say it, exposed. And the humiliation didn't stop there. Behind the scenes, organizers made sure Meghan was quietly sidelined, kept away from center stage, pushed to the background. Once the star of every room, Meghan was suddenly benched. For a woman who thrives on attention, this was the deepest cut of all. But Meghan isn't the type to back down. Oh no! Behind the scenes, she reportedly lashed out, demanding control over their narrative, their appearances, even their children's future. Harry once dreamed of sending his kids to school in the UK, maybe even Eton, the same hallowed halls where generations of royals studied. But Meghan, she blocked it at every turn, not just with a simple no, but with conditions. Whispers say she demanded compensation before even considering letting the children near the UK. Think about that. Using the kids as bargaining chips, holding Harry hostage between two worlds, his royal birthright and the family he built with Meghan. That's not compromise, that's control. It's a trick as old as the monarchy itself. Look at Sarah Ferguson, divorced, disgraced, and yet decades later still living at Royal Lodge, rent-free, still clinging to the edges of the royal circle. Half in, half out. The palace knows the game, and Meghan and Harry are pawns on the board. For a woman who's built her entire brand on being seen and heard, Harry's refusal wasn't just a slight, it was a declaration of war. And betrayal cuts deeper when it comes from the one person you think is on your side. Now here's where things get even darker. Sources claim Meghan has long demanded total control, not just of their careers, but of their children's futures. Harry once envisioned a balance, maybe even giving his children a chance to connect with their royal roots. He dreamed of schools in the UK, even Eton, the very place where he and generations of Windsors had studied. But Meghan, she put her foot down, and not just a gentle no, she allegedly tied it to conditions. Compensation, whispers say. Before the children could even set foot in Britain, Meghan wanted something back. This isn't parenting. This is power playing, using her own children as bargaining chips to keep Harry trapped between two worlds, the family he was born into and the family she built with him. For the palace, though, Harry remains a peculiar figure, publicly stripped of titles, yet privately acknowledged in ways Meghan never is. That's the part Meghan can't control no matter how hard she tries. Harry is still a Windsor. Harry is still His Royal Highness when it suits the crown. Meghan, she's not, and she never will be. That's why the silence after her stage invasion cut so deep. The crowd's indifference was a mirror reflecting the truth. Meghan's shine doesn't dazzle like it used to. The gown that was meant to scream elegance instead whispered desperation. The forced smile stretched thin, the spray tan too heavy. It wasn't glamour. It was effort, too much effort. And if there's one thing the public can smell from miles away, it's desperation. Even organizers noticed. After her stunt, she wasn't invited back to center stage. She was kept at the edges, politely sidelined like a guest who had overstayed her welcome. And Meghan noticed too. Her grin may have stayed frozen in place, but her eyes told another story. Fury, panic, fear. Because in that one moment, her entire strategy of being the star, of controlling the narrative, of owning the spotlight crumbled. And Harry? He didn't flinch. He didn't follow her off stage. He didn't soothe her ego. He held the microphone, steady, calm, owning the silence. For once, he wasn't Meghan's supporting act. He was Harry on his own. The footage, hidden from the public, tells it all. While the media cropped their photos into glossy fairy tale shots, the truth leaked through the cracks. Meghan barged in. Meghan was rejected. Meghan walked away humiliated, and Harry didn't stop her. That's not partnership, that's fracture. And if you think the palace didn't notice, think again. Their silence is calculated. They know that words can be twisted, but actions cannot. And Harry's action, holding on to that microphone, refusing to share it, spoke louder than any speech he could have given. It told the world one thing: the fairy tale is over. Meghan's betrayal wasn't against the monarchy or the press or even the public, it was against Harry himself. On that stage, she proved she would rather embarrass him than let him shine alone. And Harry, for the first time, pushed back. And that's the kind of betrayal that doesn't just bruise, it breaks. Because when the curtain falls, when the cameras shut off, when the palace games and media spins fade away, it's not about crowns or titles or stage smiles, it's about trust. And trust, once broken, rarely heals. The world saw Meghan storm off, they saw Harry stay behind, and between those two choices lies the real story of a marriage unraveling, not with fireworks, but with silence, stares, and a single microphone that neither would ever forget.